What is up, YouTube? Zuki M1 here, and I am back with a brand new YouTube video. Today we are going to be going over my red-purple imperialdramon list. So, for you guys who do not know, I am a huge Vmon stan. Actually, I run 3 out of the 4 Vmon decks. The fourth one that I don't run is Force. That's the only one that I don't run because I don't personally resonate with Force because I didn't know about their existence until I started playing the card game. Actually, I will admit I was anime only with most of Digimon growing up, so I didn't know about the manga or the extended lore for a lot of the video games that they had in Japan and things of that nature. So I didn't know about any of that stuff, but I'm digressing a lot. Why do y'all let me do that? Stop! Don't let me do that. Anywhoosies, let's go ahead and get on with the deck profile. It'll be a short one, I promise. So, with the eggs, we are running the promo Minomon. Minomon has the effect of when a two or more colored card attacks. Once per turn, you can discard one card from your hand to delete an opponent's level 3 Digimon. Now, why is this card important? This allows you to set up your graveyard more with the added support of the EX3 Vmons. You're also able to now use the Minomon to attack with, let's say, BT16 Wormmon as an example. And you didn't digivolve into anything, you can swing, activate the Minomon's effect, discard another target that you need in your graveyard, and then set yourself up for the following turn to try to go for the OTK. So this card was absolutely needed. Plus, it allows you to be able to digivolve the BT16 Wormmon in the back. And you may be wondering, well, how am I supposed to do that? He only digivolves over blue and red. If you read his rule box, it says that he can digivolve over Minomon for the cost of 0. So you can use this Wormmon to digivolve in the back, and everybody in your deck can digivolve over the Minomon. So now there's no longer an issue of if you run BT16 Vmons, you can't run the BT16 Wormmons, and if you run BT16 Wormmons, you cannot run the BT16 Vmons. I know that was a mouthful. Try to say that 5 times fast. I promise you probably can. Anywhoosies. That's why that egg is super important. It helps you set up your graveyard. It helps you get rid of bodies on your opponent's side of the board. You don't have to necessarily pop anything. You can still just discard if you want to. And Digimon, as you know, you can resolve as much of the effect as possible. So if you swung and you wanted to just discard something out of your hand, you totally could. So this egg is probably the most important egg in a strategy, and I think this is probably going to be unanimous across the board for most red-purple lists. There might be a few that still be running BT14 Koromons instead, just for the more draw power, but those are more like Rookie Rush style of gameplay, because if you're building your line, you're not going to bump into a situation of being able to draw that often off the Koromon, because you're not going to be able to build up your line afterwards, because those guys are dead now, right? That's why all of the rookies, if you notice, all have like 1k, or some of them 2k, but they're pretty weak, right? None of them are 3k or higher, so they're all going to almost guaranteed always die in security. So if you're running the BT14 Koromons, I don't agree necessarily, because I think that you would have to change the playstyle a lot, and it won't mesh well with trying to get to the Imperialdramon mode or the Dragon mode. Now, this is more of a pure list, right? There are people who will run a lot of the blue-green support inside of red-purple. So they'll run the other fighter mode, the fighter mode Ace, in their decks. And you'll also see other people running different types of dragon modes and other stuff like that to consider. I don't know if I would say that those are better or worse. I know that it feels clunky when you run the green blue support in here with the red purple. I found that this one is the most efficient at being able to get to where it's trying to get to. You just gotta see it. That's really the bottom line, to be honest. You really just gotta see it. So trying to get to it as quickly as possible, I feel like it's the most important thing here. And I feel like there's nothing more consistently going to be able to get you to where you're trying to get to than those things that I mentioned. So I personally don't agree with the Koromons, but that is something that you might see. You might see some lists running blue and green in there, and that one I can understand a little bit more because they do have a lot of rule boxes to allow you to cross pollinate the support between each other. But like I mentioned, it feels clunky and it doesn't work as consistently as you would like it to. So that's why I personally don't have that in my list here. So moving on, we'll go on to the rookies. We have the EX3 VMons on play. Trash 1 imperialdramon or free trait in your hand to draw 2. This does work in other lists as well. So like if you were running this VMon and a blue-green, you could also trigger that effect because you will have imperialdramon, you will have free traits. So this will pop up quite a bit. So if you want more draw power in those decks, you definitely could consider this, even though I don't think those decks need it. You know, one swing can get you draw 3. So yeah, but yeah. Next we are running BT16. Sorry, also forgot to mention it has the inheritable of while you have a purple Digimon to play, that includes itself. So if it is also a purple Digimon, it will give itself 2k. But if you have a purple Digimon to play, plus 2000 DP for your turn, just your turn. So not both players' turn. This is before they started making the all turns or both players' turns type of things. Next, we are running 2 copies of the BT16 VMons. You can play around with these numbers a little bit more if you want to. I personally like 14 rookies, and I like this VMon, but obviously you don't need to run it. You can take him out in place of like other stuff like what is it called? It's the card where you mill 2 cards and then draw 1 card. And then delay effect, you can trash it to gain 2. If you didn't want to run 14 rookies, you can take out these VMons, put those in instead, in my opinion, and then net you the same result that you're looking for. Next, the MVP, the most important card of the deck, and the thing I'm going to probably spend the most time on because of how powerful of an effect it is the Wormmon. So, I'm sorry. Got something in my throat. Oh, man. So, BT16 Wormmon has the effect on, at the start of main, you can push this up, right? So you push it up from the breeding area, start of main happens, it'll check your battlefield, and you can either digivolve the Wormmon, or you can digivolve the VMon, or you can digivolve anybody on your side of the board that's free trait. And if you didn't notice, everybody in our every one of our rookies are free. So you will never not have a target for this Wormmon to be able to select to digivolve into. Now, if you digivolve off this effect, you reduce the cost by 1. So if you use the Wormmon to target itself and then digivolve into the promo Shedramon effect will trigger, which will digivolve. Well, first you would digivolve from the trash for not 3 and not even 2, but for 1, because the rule box says that Shedramon can digivolve over Wormmon for 2. But then Wormmon's effect, because it's the thing that's allowing him to digivolve, is reducing it by 1. So instead of paying the cost of 2 like you normally would, you're only paying 1 to get the digivolution, and then you can bring out another body. Now, when you bring out that second body, you 9 times out of 10 you're going to want to bring out another BT16 Wormmon. Here's why. His effect can trigger again Digivolving itself to Digivolve into either A, another Shedramon, or B, into a regular Shedramon, or C, into a Flamemon, because Flamemon Digivolves also over purple. And in every single one of these scenarios, it only costs you 1 memory. So guess how much memory we spent to do this entire play that I'm talking about right now. We spent 2 memory. 2 buckos on this play. That's it. We spent 2 memory to get 2 level 4s on board to start to go into your whole line. So this is the reason why I don't personally agree with the Davis and Ken, because you can still achieve the same goal with the promo Shedramon and not have to clunk your deck up with expensive tamers that don't give you much more than just the body on board. Because you can't gain the memory, because he specifically looks for you digivolving into a green or a blue, and you can't source strip either. So you don't get any added benefit of the Davis and Ken other than just being able to play out the rookies for free. And mind you, that's not bad, right? Like, getting the Wormmon's on play effect is the same as the start of the main effect. So you can still get the same benefit from it and it not hurt. But the problem is that it costs 4 to just get free bodies every turn if you have that body in hand. There are times where you play these decks and you don't have those rookies in hand. So now what's your excuse for running that tamer? At least if I'm running tamers like Analog Youth or Tai, both of those tamers give me something that I can use even if I don't have the conditions on their board. For instance, Analog Youth helped me cycle out my deck, get more cards into the more pieces into the trash to set up for future plays. And Tai makes it so when I hit you hard, right? Because once you get to a 5 or higher, you're dealing +2, +3, sometimes even +4 damage off a single swing. So this Wormmon just opens up so many doors of possibilities in this deck that was originally not existent, because you always needed 2 rookies to go into the lines to go into your plays. But now that we have this Wormmon, it completely fixed all the problems that Red Purple Imperial had, in my personal opinion, besides I guess like their own Davis and Ken for the Red Purple strategy, or just a Davis in general, like a tamer specific to the virus imperialdramon basically. But this Wormmon is probably the best card in the entire deck. You want to see multiples of this. You want to have at least 1 in trash, 1 in the raising, and then you got full combo off of that as well. So if you have 1 in hand, you put it in the breeding area. If you have a Vmon on board, you can play the Vmon, dump the Wormmon, draw 2. Now, this is under the impression that you already had like the 2 Shedramons engraved, or a Flamedramon engraved, or whatever, right? You got your 4s engraved. If not, then you're going to have to spend another turn setting up, putting those 4s into the trash. So that's the difficulty of running this deck, is trying to set up that trash specifically, so that way your Wormmon can do everything it needs to do without little to no interruptions, and just be able to apply all types of pressure onto the board. So next, we are running the classic Wormmon from EX3. Has the on-play effect of reveal the top 3. Add a purple or red card, Frey trait to your hand, or a card with imperialdramon in name to your hand. Then trash 1, and then put the last one to the bottom of your deck. So this is probably still one of the better cards between the 2 of these, the Wormmon versus the Vmon. But this it also gives you the inheritable of retaliation. This guy gives you plus 2k DP, and this guy gives you, when attacking, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned the inheritables because I almost forgot. I glossed over that because I spent too much time glazing on BT16 Wormmon. It's an amazing card. You got to glaze it, bro. It's phenomenal. Anywhoosies. So this guy helps you set up your trash to amazing degrees. On top of that, in this deck, if you know, you know, but you have to have like one of the 4s or one of the 5s in your hand because it's going to bring the other one out from trash. So essentially what used to happen was you would promote one of your other dudes, have one of the rookies on board already. This is super hypothetical, by the way, but you need 2 rookies on board. Either one being promoted and you had summoned one and it didn't die the last turn. So that way when you promote, you got 2 rookies on board. You digivolve into either Shedramon or Flamedramon. They will trigger their effect to digivolve the other body on your board for the full cost, right? So you got to pay your 2 to digivolve into that. So you just spent 4 memory to do that. So then you can Jagras, activate their effect, bring out the other one, so either Pyodramon or Dinobemon, then Jagras off the inheritable of the Flamedramon or the Shedramon, and then go into Dragon mode, and then go into Fighter mode, right? That's no longer the case. You could keep turn after going into your combo now, thanks to a lot of the other things that, like I mentioned before, like BT16 Wormmon, and also the new Dinobemon that we're going to cover in just a few seconds as well. So there's a lot of cards to help you keep turn without having to give up a lot in the process as well. So the Wormmon is absolutely super impactful. The Wormmons are probably more important of rookies than the Vmons, which is why you max out on both. Next, we're going over the Flamedramon from EX3. Nothing too special here. It has the effect of when digivolving, you can either Jagras or you can digivolve a purple Digimon into a free trait Digimon. So that's how you would basically, like I mentioned before, you would have the Vmon, you would go into Flamedramon, target the Wormmon would digivolve into Shedramon, activate this one digivolve effect to Jagras the 2 into either a Pyodramon or a Dinobemon. Right, that's what we used to do, but we don't have to do that anymore. So Flamemon is okay. It's not bad. It's not great. It's just okay. It has the inheritable of end of turn you can Jagras, and this is super important because otherwise you would not be able to Jagras into your lines during your when you pass your turn, because you will pass turn if you go through the old Digivolution route, like I mentioned before, where Flamemon targeted something, Digivolve into the other thing, because that's 4 memory already, and there's no way to get past to get more memory than 4 in this deck naturally. So the Flamemon and the Shedramon has the exact same effect, so I won't cover the Shedramon in just a few seconds, but I mean, they're necessary for the deck. You need both, so you still got to run them. You just don't have to max out on them, because we now have the amazing grace-saving card of this deck. I love it. You love it. Everybody loves it. We're talking about Shedramon promo. It has the effect of when digivolving, you may play a Vmon or Wormmon from your trash without paying the cost, but it is suspended. And what that does for you now is it takes care of the biggest issue that Red Purple Imperial had, which was you needed 2 rookies on board to get to your lines. If you did not have 2 rookies on board, you cannot go Flamemon into Shedramon, into Dinobemon, or into Pyodramon, into Dragon mode, into Fighter mode, into -4 to your security, and none of your security effects happen. So if I flip over a bunch of tamers all of them just go to the trash. Sorry, not sorry, right? But this guy fixed all of those issues. So now we actually have a fighting chance of being able to get to where we're trying to get to. Plus, the inheritable is insane. On deletion, you may play a VMon or a Wormmon suspended without paying the cost. So once you get to your fighter mode and you delete him off the one of the options that you see at the bottom of the screen, you'll be able to trigger the Sheddramon's effect, play out a Wormmon, trigger the Wormmon's effect to digivolve into a Shedramon, and then just continue all the shenanigans all over again. So we'll go over that in just a few seconds, but just know that this Shedramon is the best card in the entire deck, right next to the BT16 Wormmon. Those two cards single-handedly made this into a viable strategy that can compete on a competitive level at Nats, at regionals, and at other types of events for the people who do want to run this type of strategy. Next, we are going to go over the fives because, like I mentioned before, we don't have to cover the other Shedramon because he is literally an inverse of Flamedramon. They are both the same. One is purple, one is red. That's the only thing that's different. Now, Pyodramon, when digivolving, if this was DNA Digivolve, you can play a Dino Bmon from your trash without paying the cost, and then on deletion you can play a Vmon from your trash. Now he only specifically mentions this Vmon because Pyodramon is a Vmon focused DNA versus Dino Bmon, which is a Wormmon focused DNA. So it also has the inheritable of, while this has imperialdramon in the name, it gains +1 security. So this is how you deal more damage in this deck to try to set up for those OTK possibilities. Next, we have the Dino Bmon. It has the exact same effect as Pyodramon, except it will play out the Pyodramon, and if it dies, it plays out a Wormmon, which realistically is more valuable in this deck now because he is more important. So the original EX3 Dino Bmon actually does have a lot more value in this deck than the Pyodramon, just because he could play out the Wormmons and then start up a new line for you. So just something to think about. Plus, if it dies, you can trigger the Sheddramon's on deletion effect to play out the other body that you're missing. So again, it's so much synergy. Next, we got the BT16 Dino Bmon. This one's a lot, so we're going to go over this as quickly as possible. It has the effect of when DNA Digivolve, you can play out a level 5 or lower card with free traits. So that's literally everybody up here. Everybody here can get played off of his effect. And then when he does, he can give it rush, but it has to attack the same time that it gave it rush. And the reason why is because if you give it rush, it literally says and attack a player. It doesn't say you may attack a player. So unless they change the text, you give it rush and it has to attack. So one little small drawback if you were trying to do a little chipper damage or something like that when you wanted to do the chipper damage, because if you give it rush, it has to attack the same time that you gave it rush. So just wanted to throw that out there for the people who might be a little confused. It has its partition effect, and it has the inheritable of partition. So for those of you who do not know what partition is an extremely powerful effect of if this Digimon is removed from the board by any means other than by battle. So you can get rid of it in every way except battle, which is very important. So if that card is removed, you can trigger its partition effect to play out the two colors that it mentions that you could play out. So for the Dino Bmon, it'll play out 2 level 4s, 1 red and 1 purple, which is specifically either 1 Flamedramon or 1 Shedramon. But now we also have the added inclusion of the promo Shedramon. So now you can make him either fill in the red or the purple role because they are both. That's pretty much Dino Beamon. It's an amazing card though, because it does help you go for more aggressive plays, and you're not always necessarily waiting for the fighter mode or the dragon mode to do anything, because a lot of times for people who, again, if you know, you know, but anybody who was playing the red purple when it first came out knows that it was very difficult to run this deck, because if somebody outpaced you, you wasn't going to be able to win, and if someone just prevented you from having two bodies on board, you wasn't going to be able to win. So with this allows you to get more aggressive, to apply more pressure, to force your opponent to do more things earlier than what they would have had to if you just would have had a rookie in the back and then a rookie on board, and hope that that rookie on board survives, so that way you can promote and then go into your red purple plays. So this Dino Beamon does an amazing amount of work within its own deck. It is such a great addition and was absolutely needed. Next, we're going to go on to the top end. Very small package, so it'll be very quickly. We got the Dragon mode. It has the effect of when DNA Digivolve, your opponent chooses one Digimon. That one Digimon is protected, and then everything else is deleted. Now, we are not the ones that are deleting the Digimon. Your opponent are. So if your opponent has stuff like partition and other effects, it will not trigger off the dragon mode, because it is not the one deleting it. Your opponent is. It is simply applying the effect onto your opponent for them to choose which Digimon has to die, similar to the Lilithmon effect, when it gives its effect over to a Digimon, and then at the end of the turn, it either deletes itself or delete another Digimon to prevent its, to protect itself. So this dragon mode is extremely impactful, and then it has the also added effect of when attacking, you can digivolve into a fighter mode, but you got to pay the cost. Now, you may think, oh, I got to pay 5 to digivolve into that? That's horrible. He has the rule box. If you see right above, he has a rule box that allows him to digivolve over fighter mode for 2. So you can swing with this guy, trigger the effects, delete everything else, go into fighter mode, and then bounce back the dragon mode to the bottom of the deck, and then none of their security effects happen. So if you have Tai and Imperialdramon in the security, that's 3 damage at like whatever how much DP you got. He's naturally at 13, so even just having one Beamon, that's 15k for 3 checks. That's good damage and good amount of pressure. Then next we go over the fighter mode. As we kind of glossed over him, we're gonna go in depth. He has the effect, he can digivolve over dragon mode for 2. He naturally has piercing. Please do not forget that. That is very important. He naturally just has piercing, so you are not getting it from the Digimon inheritables. Him himself has piercing. Next, he has the when digivolve in effect, you basically bounce the dragon mode to the bottom of the deck. None of your opponent's security effects happen, but this only triggers when when digivolving. So that first time that you bring him out is the most impactful time for this Digimon to come out, because none of their security effects are going to happen. So that's options, tamers, Digimons, anything that has a security effect is null and void against this guy once he triggered the effect to put the dragon mode to the bottom of your deck. So an extremely powerful card that checks a lot of cards in the game without people necessarily realizing. Next, it has the on deletion effect that you may play a Wormmon and a Vmon. Is it suspended? No. He just plays them both from your trash without paying the cost. So that's extremely important, because again, that helps you go over into more plays, right? And mind you, the reason why we're running these BT16 Vmons is because this is the only way to generate more memory than just 3. Anytime you summon a free or digivolve into a free, and he's on board, you will get 1 memory. So if you're able to do the Wormmon play that I mentioned before, where you get both Wormmons and do the play, and then you have a Vmon engrave after you go into the line and things, you can bring back the Vmon, bring back the Wormmon, trigger the Wormmon effect, Digivolve, trigger the Vmon's effect, gain back 1, so you didn't spend anything for that first Digivolution. Activate the Shedremon's effect, bring back another Wormmon, trigger his effect to bring out and a lot of times if your line is correct, you have at least 4 bodies that come back once your fighter mode dies. And it's kind of how viruses work in general. It's that they just spread everywhere, and that's a amazing example, because if you remember, DNA Digivolve or Jagras evolution does not have summoning sickness. So what you essentially kind of want to do a lot of times in this deck is essentially what the imperialdramon blue-green does in a lot of their decks, which is get to your 5 as quickly as possible, deal as much damage as possible, and then rely on your 6s to close out the game. And that's essentially what you're going to be doing in this build of the deck as well. Now that we've covered the 6s, let's go over the tamers and then the options, and then we're done with the video. So we have Tai Chi. Tai Chi is very simple. BT1, start of your turn, go to 3 if you're less than 3, and then your turn if a red Digimon attacks with 4 or more sources, +1 security. Very simple, straightforward, real easy. Next we got the Analog Youth. Analog Youth has the effect on play, search the top 3, grab a Digimon card, and then trash the rush. So again, helps you set up your trash, and it also has the effect of when a level 5 or higher with sources dies, mind you. So if you see this in a 7th grade Demon Lords deck and they try to trigger this effect without any sources, they are cheating you. Analog Youth has to see a Digimon with sources that is level 5 or higher die. Then you can tap this tamer to gain a memory. So that's why you might see some lists not run him at all anymore, but the people who didn't read what Analog Youth can do probably skimmed over the fact that you need a source before it dies. So just wanted to remind you. Next we are running Deathclaw. Deathclaw, delete one of your Digimons to delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. Then the security effect, delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. Why are we running this card? It is in supplement of the Call of Darkness. Now, these cards in conjunction with each other is the way that you can forcefully trigger your own fighter mode to die. A lot of times what you're going to bump into if you don't run these types of cards is that your fighter mode will not die. He will sit on board. So you got all these bodies that are ready to come back from the trash that you cannot bring back because he is stuck on board. And then they will eventually bounce this card or bounce the card back to the bottom of the deck, add it back to hand, whatever, right? They find a way to not delete it, so you don't get any on deletion effects. Sure, you'll get the partition to bring out the 2 level 4s, but they have to survive into the following turn, right? So by me running Deathclaw and Call of Darkness, this allows you to trigger your own on deletion effects after you've used your fighter mode to deal the damage that it needs to deal. Trigger that, kill these, go into your new line to get Jagras, and then just start punching. And that's really it. That is the whole deck. Obviously there are changes that you can make anywhere in here, but I personally feel that this is my best rendition of the deck. But if you guys feel differently, or you guys suggestions that you want to try out, please by all means let me know in the comment section below. I would love to have more conversations about this deck and try to figure out how can we make it even more broken if you think that there's a way to improve upon what I have here, or if you just want to go in a completely different direction. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys the absolute best, and yeah, this has been Zuki and One. Catch you guys later.